I was walking through the village one fine day, with a godless gaze all romp and play. I rounded a corner and came face to face with two men dancing in a loving embrace. It was a hap.
Hey, welcome to Moralton University. It's Wes, Glam, and Sena, and Lauren will be joining us in the chat because she's not feeling well today, so we're going to be reading out her interjections into the conversation. We are here to answer questions that you guys sent us on our Neospring and also on that post that we made a while back, so sit tight and enjoy our weird little answers to your weird little questions. Okay.
What do you think about the theory that Orel is a show by Orel who's become a stop motion animator himself about his childhood? So what I think is being asked here is not like a not like a lost episode of Creepypasta where it's like it was a dream the whole time. I think they mean more along, I believe, like the Wonder Years is a show like that, or the Goldbergs, where the showrunner is making a show about his childhood. But that doesn't necessarily make sense because there's a lot of things that Orel just wouldn't have been there to witness, and the adults in his life would not have told him about.
Yeah. I agree. But also, just I'm going to be a party pooper and say, like, Dino Stamatopoulos already said that this show is not based on events in his own childhood. So, like, you know, whatever theories you have about that is moot.
Yeah, basically it's fiction.
It's a work of fiction, guys.
And also, like, alone would be, like, what would even, like, inspire Orel to write that? Like, maybe something Christina goes through, and he's, like, trying to represent women like that, but, like, Jesus.
A lot of it doesn't translate.
It's a creepypasta kind of thought.
It literally, it reminds me of the, Rugrats, every Rugrat was actually dead, and Angelica's just pretending they're all alive. That one really
I think I told you guys about this, but, like, the other day at the dinner table, that's getting passed around Facebook again, because the other day at the dinner table, my stepdad brought that up as, like, a legitimate, like, true thing that happened.
Oh my god.
Like, sir,
the boomers can't tell the difference, okay?
Just illiterate.
Ellie sent a frowny face. You guys don't talk much about Doughy. What do you guys think could have occurred to him down the road if the show had continued? I like to think he would have connected with Stephanie.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we talked about that before. I thought that was a really cool idea.
Like, because, you know, she did have, like, a marginal connection to his mom in the past.
Ellie said he doesn't deserve something that good.
JK. But I do feel like somebody should give him a break, and he does need an adult figure in his life so that he doesn't end up being a complete piece of shit when he grows up.
Because he has a lot of emotions inside that I think would really his own emo arc would really be beneficial to him, but one that's like permanent, unlike Orel's.
A permanent emo arc for Doughy, so he grows up to be like an alt guy. That's my theory.
He's inspired by Stephanie and opens up Moralton's first Spencer's Gifts.
Yeah, well, that would make him compete with Stephanie, so she wouldn't be happy about that.
But you know what? Honestly, I wouldn't put it past Doughy. He would think he was doing something good or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Accidentally burns the one bridge that he has.
Oh, fuck. Lauren said she'd run him out of business.
Can you make a 20,000 hour long video on farmer phony crops?
Okay, so look up chicken egg video, 1 hour long, and you'll pretty much get everything that you need from a phony crops video. You don't have to come to Moralton University and thinly disguise your fetish. It's okay. This is a safe space.
Why don't you join the 4-H club?
Okay. If Moral Orel ever got revived, how would you go about it? Honestly,
that's a toughie.
I wouldn't like a reboot. I think a revival would be cool. Whether they wanted to do like a Twin Peaks The Return thing, where it's like 20 years later and we're seeing what happened to everyone, that would be cool. But also, I would
really enjoy that.
I do want to see the original Lauren says, I want to see what Dino originally planned, but I like your idea too, Wes. Yeah, I also want to see what Dino originally had planned. Like if he could still tell that story, but find a new way to tell it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I would prefer to see the uninterrupted scope of his entire vision for the show. That's
because
really
that's
what I
what
would
we,
like to see.
as fans, that's what we all fell in love with.
Yeah. At the same time,
Yeah.
I feel that, you know, with the show, it was really kind of a product of its time, and now we're kind of in a similar political climate that it was then.
Yeah, I think it's a great time to bring it back.
But
like,
it's not gonna be the same show, I feel.
no, it would never be. It would be impossible to expect it to be that way. I mean, considering some of the language and some of the things that are used in the show back at that time, like a lot of that stuff is just it's not gonna sit the same way. Like with the audio, or if it does come back that way, audiences would completely like have meltdowns about it, and like you know, it would just have to be adjusted in some sort of way to come back. But I mean, hell, I'll just take a book. Like, come on, just write a damn book about everything.
I mean, I'm gonna go back to my old answer where you know, I'd love to see a meta version and a deconstruction of Moral Orel, deconstructing Orel.
I want a Moral Orel musical.
That too. Let's get a Moral Orel musical, guys. Yeah,
like the whole thing. Like nature can be like an act one.
Oh god. Jesus. The bear is like, instead of a prop, the bear is like one of the performers from Cats.
Stop. You had to make it fucking weird.
Does like a weird
yes,
fucking
I
dance
did. That's my job. He like he death drops like he's in RuPaul's Drag Race.
Lauren says Bloberta can't be a good singer even in the musical. No, she can't. You're right.
You can fucking jump off a cliff. I don't care.
We're not calling the plague doctor
Lauren
for you now.
Has sent the sleeping Clay emoji. Hugging his pillow.
Gone. That's you. That's you after I'm done with you. Okay.
We're gonna leave you to exposure on the mountains like a Spartan baby.
Okay. Well, this is an interesting one. What is the process of making your videos? I'm curious. Well,
you know, depends on the video. We talk about the show a lot outside of the channel. I would say for every hour on the channel, we've got maybe like 5 hours of mileage on Discord talking about this sort of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of the video ideas come from that. Like, somebody will make a really good point, and we just get rolling on it, and it's like, we need to share this with the world.
Lauren says, on a technical level, it is a work in progress, which is true. We're, you know, still kind of figuring it out. None of us are audio people. We
As
tend
you
to bounce
consistently
around
remind us.
the responsibilities of video editing and making the thumbnails and you know, thinking up the titles, which is the most important part.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, it's like depending on each video, the majority, like we all take part in writing the scripts for the most part, but like one person tends to like lead the script, and then someone will edit, someone will audio mix, or the same person will do both. I mean, it's a pretty fluid process. We just kind of, whoever's able to do certain things will do. But I like to think that we've done a pretty good job of keeping the channel looking consistent and feeling consistent, at least in terms of what we're saying. The microphones will work on that, guys.
Have you guys ever seen that meme where it's like house MD? It's like, no, the patient is not going to be diagnosed by a doctor. Bring in the autistic teenager. That's our writing process. Whoever is the weirdest about a specific character gets to lead the script.
That's a fair assumption. Yeah, we let the autism take hold.
Oh, so Lauren says if anyone out there has genuine advice for audio editing for beginners, let us know.
Yes,
please.
That's a great suggestion.
We really appreciate your guys' feedback, and I'm not trying to be like salty or butthurt when I say this, but sometimes it's a little irritating to have the constant criticism without any attempt at like actually helping. Like there is even I've seen a few times like, you know, somebody start their comment with I have expertise in so and so, and then just completely stop it at the audio sucked. Like, so what was the reason in telling us your credentials? Were you like just flexing on us?
What would be cool is if somebody could recommend us like a YouTube channel where we could figure some stuff out by watching tutorials, because it can be hard to find the right one for what we need. Like if you could diagnose what you feel the problem with our audio is and let us know who talks about that, that would be great. Lauren says, we want our videos to be the highest quality possible, but we are not audio experts.
Okay, the next one is, hey, I'm just letting you know
Let's
that YouTube
stop
is under the
that.
impression your channels are...
Oh,
okay,
actually, we can address this.
Let's talk about how our channel's not for fucking kids, please.
So, you know, we first of all don't consider the show to be for kids. I mean, okay, there's shows that use mature humor for shock value and have the maturity level that a child watching like could just laugh at. And Moral Oral is not one of those shows. As Lauren says right now, if you are a child, please don't watch Moral Oral, LMAO. It deals with topics that I feel in general kids can't really handle, particularly regarding sexual trauma, regarding, you know, I do feel that like you can appreciate the show more as an adult looking back on your own childhood than you can appreciate it as a child who may potentially be in that situation and may potentially be like, you know, living through something like that. And
yeah, it's very easy for a younger person to get caught up in their emotions when watching this show because it is an extremely heavy show, and like, you know, I'm not gonna say I didn't cry watching this. I don't even really remember if I did, but it emotionally affected me for many days afterwards, and I could not stop thinking about it. So I think you just have to have lived enough of your life and matured enough to really like let the show sit and really think about it critically and not just see what you see on screen and just kind of have a knee-jerk reaction to it. And a lot of the discussion in the fandom kind of feels like a bunch of people having really heavy emotional reactions to something and not discussing it with like actual nuance and looking at everything from every perspective.
I think that's like the reason it's gotten this reputation as a trauma show, because the people watching it are not old enough to be like to separate the things on screen from reality.
And you know, if you are like a kid watching our channel, you know, we can't really stop you at the end of the day, but just know that this is not a personal attack or criticism of you. Being a child is not like it's hard to word it, but being a child and being a minor is not a moral failing. It's just a fact of life right now that it may not feel great, the greatest to be told that you're not mature enough or something, but it is in your best interest.
I can say that when I was 12, I thought I was very grown up and smart and very mature for watching a movie like The Professional. And that wasn't a movie that I should have been watching. And I didn't have like the maturity to understand that it was a movie that I shouldn't have been watching. So I'm going to put that there.
Lauren said, it makes me think of when I was in middle school reading books that went way over my head because they dealt with topics too mature for me. And when I revisited them as an adult, I was actually able to enjoy and appreciate them instead of just being proud that I looked grown up for reading it. Like, dude, I should not have read A Clockwork Orange when I was 14. That is a great point. You got to think about your motivations at the end of the day. Like, bragging to people that you watch the show where the puppets like have abortion trauma is not... it's not worth it.
Okay. If Bloberta acted like Shapey as a child, would Danielle look like him, but be the complete opposite personality-wise? I don't think Bloberta acted like Shapey as a child. I think Bloberta has parallels to how Shapey grew up. If someone got that from my video, that's
I mean,
what I
they might
meant.
have gotten
Just
the thing
clarify.
of Danielle being opposite personality-wise from the Danielle video.
No, I think that is well that's from our I'm pretty sure we said that. You said that in the video.
That's such a cute idea, though, of little Bloberta like being Shapey's age and running around screaming.
I don't like not see it as a potential. I've never thought about her like that. I think she would have tried to get attention, so it's very possible.
Lauren says, I don't think she'd be able to just because she's a girl. That's true. Plus, she was raised.
That's so true.
She doesn't have the privilege of screaming.
So,
I think if she ever acted. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think that based on how her mother was like raising them, she would have been forced to be quiet.
Yeah, and I think that we see that like it's present even in her adolescence. So I would say very interesting comment. But I do like the idea of Danielle being like quieter when he's younger.
It's always the quiet ones who are psycho.
Yeah. It's important to keep in mind sometimes, especially with a show like this, that while obviously, we shouldn't assume like the behavior of someone or a personality traits or anything about them based off their gender or sexuality, their characters will act different depending on what they were born as because of how society, especially a society as stringent with the gender roles as this, how they were raised. It's just a fact of life, unfortunately.
Yeah.
What do you believe made Clay do what he did in Grounded? I already know the answer as to why seeing Orel put himself in a bloodbath made it the last straw for him, but I'm really curious to know what you guys thought about the episode. Okay, so I have thoughts about like what might have been in Clay's head there. Because for the episode leading up to Grounded is Innocence, and in Innocence, it's really the first time that we see Moralton's community get mad at Clay for the way that he's raising his kid. And Clay, he's never been challenged on that before, and he's thought up until this point, okay, maybe he acts out sometimes, but ultimately he does behave himself most of the time. But now everyone's putting the pressure on him and making him think that he's not doing it right. So I'm thinking that was why he decided that just spanking him wasn't going to be enough. He thought that there needed to be some kind of punishment that he would really respond to and really, really shake him up a little for a bit. And we saw that he went a little too far in that episode, but I don't think he knew he was going that far.
Yeah, I think in his head, it was the same thing as like taking away your kid's phone. He saw what the most important thing to Orel was and his source of, joy and freedom.
It's like, yeah, okay, no more video games, except in this case, the video game is church. And like, it's not like he was.
If I catch you on your knees one time,
he was completely like barring him from any sort of joy. He said, yeah, you can go out and play, try and do something else. But for Orel, church is like everything to him. So he couldn't distract himself.
Lauren said Clay's idea of himself as a father was shaken very badly in Innocence, and Grounded was him trying to overcorrect.
Yes, that I think that's what was going on. He did go back to spanking him after that. There's like a bit where he smiles in the middle of it.
Interesting.
Did you ever notice that? Like he's spanking them and then suddenly he's like laughing to himself.
No, I never noticed that.
No, I'd have to watch that back. I didn't catch that.
And it's like one of the few scenes we ever see him spanking him. Oh, Lauren says, also very interesting that Grounded is the episode where Clay tells Orel he's going to bring him on the hunting trip. That's true. Yeah.
That is a great point. Yeah. It's definitely... It's obviously like a fucked up thing to do to Orel. Orel is very clearly like heavily impacted by it, but there's also like some, I wouldn't call them good things, but we do see that obviously Clay pays attention to the things that Orel finds important, and he's not just trying to do this one thing. You can tell that he's thought about multiple strategies of how to overcorrect this.
Yeah. I mean, it's not even that he's like, okay, no more stop motion or no more going outside. It's specifically church. Stopping Orel from going to church also cuts Orel off from seeing most of the town in one place, minimizing judgment for Clay. That's true.
Oh, doy, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Do we think that, like, in his thought process of choosing this, that was his first thought, or it was just kind of like a perk that
I think it
happened
was a
along the way?
perk that happened along the way. What he really meant to do was like punish Orel in a way that it would really make him consider the consequences of his actions. Because, you know, okay, like my thought is that Orel doesn't hate being punished. He actually he looks forward to it practically. And that Clay's kind of finally caught on to that. And it's kind of what happened with Arthur and Clay. But I don't know. I'm going to organize my thoughts on this better in the Orel video.
What gave you the idea to create this channel? Was it a specific event, or did you take inspiration from another channel, or was it something else altogether? Bro, what channel? Where are the Moral Oral channels? We are
there
the
were
only
some
one.
others. There
Like-
were actually
Yeah.
some other channels that like had a lot of takes on Moral Oral, but I guess we felt that we had certain ideas about how we read the characters, and we felt like a lot of the videos analyzing the characters kind of lacked nuance.
Yep. Yeah. I won't I'm not gonna go on a tangent and name any videos, but specific character has a specific video that I really did not like, and I said, hey, why don't
my
don't I make
specific
my
character
own?
has multiple
But,
videos I didn't like.
Yeah.
Okay, well, at least yours has more than one. At least someone thought about your character. Wait, okay, but real quick, the story of how we made this channel, the absolute.
Lauren says we felt there were no sufficiently
really-
in-depth analyses of the show. Everything was more surface level, and then the girls are fighting.
Really, truly, how did we make this channel? I said, wow, moral. Wait, maybe I shouldn't share this story because it starts with me being like, ew, the Moral Oral videos suck ass, and then us talking shit about them, and then being like, I bet we could make better ones. Yeah, let's do it. Oh, do you like really want to do it? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, let's do it.
So yeah, we just kind of bet that we could, you know, get some better ideas out there, some better readings of the show in general, and not just of the characters, but kind of looking at the show as a whole. Yeah.
Two things. First, to get a little bit positivity, there's this one video I really enjoy. I forget if it was an analysis of Alone specifically, or like just the show in general. But there was this one video I gotta find again where the male YouTuber, he had this quote from a psychologist, and it was about Alone, obviously, and he had his mother read it, and I thought it was a very respectful like way of handling an analysis of the episode. It stuck out to me because there are so many, like, that leads into my second point. I feel a lot of the Moral Oral videos out there are made by guys, which I understand how that sounds, but I feel like that is another thing that we bring to the scene, is our experience as living in the world as women. We have a bit more of an intricate perspective of some of the things that happen in the show.
Yeah. I mean, the one Moral Oral channel that I do really enjoy the content of is Team Orel. Shout out Team Orel. Follow Team Orel.
Yeah.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Yes, I never meant to say that there aren't good Moral Oral channels or even Moral Oral videos. I just think a lot of the videos that got a lot of mainstream popularity feel like surface level recaps more than they feel like a genuine look inside the
Yes,
show and the messages
exactly.
that it tries to tell. And especially the characters, I feel like a lot of the people really overlook a lot of deeper things about the characters because they really are very, very fascinating individuals, and of course, the goal of the show was to make them like the most human
Lauren
characters on
says,
television. So
we also
they-
possess the power of critical thinking, which puts us on another level of Hoogie Clay emoji. Okay, but like, you know, I feel that, you know, the best thing that we get out of our discussions is that, you know, we can get points out of each other that we wouldn't otherwise think of if we're making videos on our own. And I do feel that a lot of, and this isn't just for Moral Oral, but like YouTube in general has a lot of people analyzing content and writing it as a video essay and not really talking to anyone about it. So, you know, us
Yeah.
talking to each other, like I wouldn't really want to do this if I wasn't talking to you guys. It wouldn't be as fulfilling for me.
Same
I
here.
wouldn't feel
Same
as
thing.
like
Oh my god.
confident sharing my own thoughts because I can't really like get a gauge of it. But you know, I do feel that like when people talk to each other about media, then you can get, you know, the best read on it.
Yeah, it's so nice to be able to bounce ideas off of one another and work collaboratively on the scripts, and it's like a dynamic process. I really enjoy working on all this stuff with all y'all. So I mean, we're gonna do it as long as we can, as many ideas as we can get out.
Lauren
We'll do
says,
it.
love working with you guys. We love you too, Lauren.
Miss Secondopinionson, discuss. Well, dear viewer, we have a video that will be covering her in some capacity.
It's
coming
mostly
up.
going to be a speculative video on the Secondopinionson family in general, and you know, trying to figure out what the heck's going on in there and what our theories about that are. And Lauren says she is an icon and she is the moment.
Exactly.
And I think we should save any further like answer this for a little bit because we have another
Yeah.
question that asked about Miss Secondopinionson that's a bit more direct.
Oh, very
Right.
true, very true.
Let's look at the comments that we have in the channel. So Medicinal Madam asks, I love these little avatars you have. Are they digibatches? How did you make them? I bashed them myself. Thank you. There's a somebody put up for auction at some point on one of those auction websites a page from like a Moral Oral production handbook where somebody's supposed to like stick, like I think the idea is for trainees to stick the mouths on the faces of the characters to you know, practice placing the facial features. And it's just the heads of the characters with the eyes and the hair. And what I did was use some of those heads to create our heads. So yeah, if you look for it, you can find it.
I didn't know that. That's
Yeah,
so
that
cool.
was how I did it.
It's so cool.
You LARPing working on Team Oral.
Okay.
I'm so excited for this one.
What would y'all's silly Moralton names be?
I don't even know.
I wouldn't want to live in Moralton.
So they put
What?
they put i.e. typical references to stop motion, narrative devices, or thinly veiled suggestions of traits. So I was thinking about this question, and I realized that in the show, I wouldn't just like with my personality and like details about myself, considering what the show is about. I wouldn't just be like a random stop motion animation character. So I went with a name that's like a Jewish and a fat joke in once.
What is it?
My Moralton name is Brisket Chest Sacks, like Goldman Sachs.
That's really clever, actually.
Yeah, that was really
Lauren
smart.
says, stop laughing.
Well, for 1 second, so I can, because a lot of people don't know about the whole like connection with brisket and Jews. So let me Google something I can read off.
Lauren says making those was so fun. It was so funny when Sena's was being made and her avatar looked cracked out. It still looks cracked out.
I kept going, damn, I look fucking like...
Brisket is a traditional Jewish food that's been eaten for holidays and special occasions since the 1700s. Brisket is cheap because it's tough and takes a long time to cook.
Brisket is delicious smoked.
It's good.
Yes.
I didn't even know that was traditionally Jewish.
Yeah, and of course I chose chest sacks because something many people might not know about the Jewish people, but in return for crucifying Jesus, our women became very well endowed. You can take that to the bank with you.
Oh, thank you for your insight.
Thank you for the
beautiful. I did not think about it. Off the top of my head, my main trait I think that would stick out about me in Moralton, because I am just a white girl, is that I'm very tall. So maybe my like last name would be like some stupid joke about how tall I am.
Oh.
Men would be afraid of me. That's all.
You get confused for trees.
Oh, I could play a
beauty-
grape tree.
Yeah.
I mean, my answer is still that I wouldn't want to live in
tree.
Moralton.
Well, I wouldn't want to live there either, but it's fun making up a pun.
Yeah.
Next question. Have you ever considered doing diegetic episodes? That is to say, ones where you all play the roles of people in Moralton University, reacting to the events of the show or borderline audiovisual fan fiction.
I didn't understand.
You already
this
did
question.
one.
Me either.
You did the...
Oh, when I was pretending to be
no,
an isekai?
when you did the Christmas card to us, that was you singing the bit from Best Christmas.
That's what that means. Like, we're supposed to
yeah,
play
it was really good how you did it, and you didn't let us share it.
Because
it was really good though. It was so funny.
I'm glad that you all liked it though. Maybe
Lauren
one day I'll
said,
share
"I
it.
don't think you actually want that."
What?
Do they mean like?
Oh.
Do they mean like going through episodes of the show as if our Moralton selves, like our Moralton Sonas, were part of the episode?
No, I think they just mean us talking over the characters.
No, I don't know if that is what they mean, because it says one where you all play the roles of people in Moralton University reacting to the events of the show. Like, do they want us to RP ourselves? Like, that's what we are. We are doing that. We're ourselves, and we're talking about the show.
Come back, please.
We don't
Explain
understand
yourself.
the question.
Yeah.
Okay, the next one,
Sena,
Sena, you're gonna love reading out this one.
Yeah, let me read it. Okay. 3 minor details I think about way too often. I love your videos and I'd like to see all of your thoughts / interpretations. I only now noticed how all of these relate to Bloberta in a way. Hi, I'm Sena. I'm Bloberta's #1 fan. And I'm here to read your beautiful questions and observations.
As you're reading this, she's right behind you, rubbing your shoulders.
Sena ASMR.
In Grounded, during the part where Clay is purposely antagonizing Orel, he and Bloberta hug each other. During this, Bloberta winks at the camera, which I always thought implied that she was just going along with it so she could feel gratification from Clay. I think that's probably part of it.
Yeah, maybe it's wanting a hug was part of it, but also maybe the wink was just for the audience to see.
I've always saw that as just like part of the bit, but
yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's impossible.
Yeah.
I think she was kind of over Clay by that point, though. I don't think she probably had to wash her shoulders after he touched her.
Exactly. That's so damn sad.
The next part of this. The intro to Nature Part 2 has a disturbing little detail of Orel not looking up and waving at God like he usually does. He just sits and prays. However... Wait, what? Where did I get that? Oh, which fits the horrible events of the episode. However, in the intro to Nature Part 1, Bloberta smiles and gives Orel the rabbit ears. I love that. Fuck. Neither of them... I'll fix this, guys, don't worry. Neither of these intro variations are reused again, like some of the other intro gags, so I've always wondered what the latter intro implied about Bloberta, if anything. I don't think it
implies anything
it's just
about Bloberta necessarily. I think it's that she's marking him as the prey of the episode.
Okay, that's extreme. I never thought about it like that. That's extreme. Wow, I didn't think about that.
That's crazy, but I love it.
Because Orel, he was telling Orel to shoot the rabbits, and yeah.
That's so true. I've always just thought that it was a really cute little interaction between them, but I didn't even think about it like that.
And also, Bloberta's always in that seat next to him, so they just had her turn and give him the rabbit ears for that particular episode, just to kind of say, okay, they're going hunting, and Orel is the one who's going to get shot. Is like a bit of foreshadowing.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like a gag, but it kind of doubles as like something a little bit like weirder when you look at it deeper, more symbolic. Okay, the last one. in this beautiful comment stream. We all know about the scrap plotline with Papermouth and Bloberta getting together. Yes, I do know that. And that Shapey and Block become a police officer and firefighter, respectively, when they grow up. I always thought it implied that the relationship happened off screen, and Papermouth became the proper father figure for Shapey and Block that Shapey and Block needed, inspiring them to become public officials. The photo of Clay and Bloberta at the end doesn't necessarily mean they're still together. Assuming Orel is around Clay's age, about 40, it would mean Clay and Bloberta would be in their 70s, and they don't look quite that old. I've always thought that the final photo of them before they divorced for good, and that Orel chose that photo as it was the most recent one of them together. Once again, love your videos. Can't
I
wait
really
for the
like
Q&A.
that idea.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, but I thought we
Yeah.
do see that the photo's a little bit like they're kind of like grayer and wrinkled in it. Not quite 70, but you know.
Yeah, I don't care because I don't fucking think that shit's canon. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. But I do like his commenter's idea. They're in their thought
No,
process.
yeah, I think that's super sweet. That's a really nice way to put it together. I've also just decided that I don't care about that picture, and I've photoshopped it out entirely, and I will put my proper ending. You guys, actually, guys, just so you know, Moral Orel actually had 2 airings on Adult Swim, and the second time that it aired, so this is real information, and the second time that it aired, it actually shows that there was a different frame there, and if you look closely you can see the proper frame, which I'm going to put on screen right now, and it's actually a picture of the family happy together. So don't listen to the lies that Moral Orel Wiki tells you, because they are propagating misinformation and parroting
So are
their
we
lies.
actually, but you know, we should listen to us instead.
Yeah.
Our lies are better.
Yeah, my lie is funny and I'm being self-aware about it. So anyway, I love your questions. Brayfine7479. Always down to clown about Bloberta. Love you, bye.
Okay. What's your process in making videos? I.e., how you manage to get ideas.
I think we
kind of talked about that already.
Both parts of this comment we already answered, or we're gonna answer because we have another question about.
Well, okay, there's a few parts
so
of this.
regarding one thing that I didn't talk about regarding researching topics. You know, sometimes we'll research a character and we'll research aspects of a character, and this was particularly about the Clay video and the fact that the Freudian reading was originally going to be a part of the Clay video, but then I realized that there was so much Freudian content that could be gleaned from Censored All and from the episodes in general that it needed to be its own video, so it was separated from that.
That's actually happened one other time, because when I made my Bloberta video, I wanted to go more in depth about the family roles, and then I just made that its own video as well.
Yeah.
So it's a transformative process overall.
And before we record a video, oftentimes we'll go over the script that we wrote and our points, and we continue to talk to each other, and sometimes things come up in that, so we are literally researching until the very last minute.
We're thinking of things during the discussion that we didn't even think about within the script itself, so it's live basically.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, we're just doing our best. We're bouncing ideas off each other and just being able to talk. Again, like you said before, if we were just doing this video by ourselves, we would read the script and it would be over. But because we have that forum where we talk to each other and we have our discussions and we bounce ideas off of one another, it just completes it keeps adding more to the mix that we can talk about. It's just very it's very. I'll read it. How did you all meet one another, and what compelled you to start this channel? August 1st, 1999. On our way to summer camp, we were sucked into a strange sky vortex and found ourselves falling upwards towards the mysterious File Island, where we encountered tiny tulpa monsters, one for each of our personalities. While we were understandably spooked at first, we eventually came to form psychic bonds with these beasts, which allowed them to grow and achieve their full potential through the power of our karmic virtues.
And that's how Moralton University came to be.
In reality, basically we just randomly met online. That's it.
Lauren says that happened, I swear, though.
It did. My tulpa is like a pink puffle from
Mine
Penguin
is
Club.
the devil himself.
Fire Island.
Lauren says that's a lie, Sena. We met on Fire Island, which is not.
What is Fire
That's
Island?
Island.
See,
It's the
whenever I
island
hear
for gay
fire,
men.
whenever I hear, I was just about to say the same thing. I'm like, that's where Daniel and Clay are too.
Sure, they are right
Shit.
now.
Jeez.
They're vacationing on Fire Island. I know because they texted me. They said,
Who are
who are you?
Who are your top? Who is your top? Who are your top 3 favorite characters from the entire series?
I'm like scared to like say at this point that I feel like
Why?
my top. Shut up! I didn't finish.
Oh, so I thought.
I
I'm
was-
sorry.
I love you. Okay, I was gonna say my favorite 3 characters in the entire series are Glam, Wes, and
Aw.
Ellie. Just kidding. Okay, anyway, no, I love them, but they're real life. So, I'm scared at this point to say that that Roger's in my top 3 characters because he's become so much of like a character that I write like that I think about and like write about and have to come up with ideas for, that he's endeared himself to me so much more than when I first was like, okay, I'm gonna ship Blubbermouth because it's canon or it was gonna be canon. So, is it weird for me to say that because he's really not.
I
that
mean,
much of
a
a character
favorite
in the
character is a
show.
favorite character.
Exactly.
To be like, yeah, like the homophobic wife, the fucking cop, and like.
Some of us have a favorite character that appeared in one episode of the
You're
series.
so right. Fuck you. Anyway, my 3 favorite characters. Anyway, my name's Sena, and my 3 favorite characters are Bloberta Puppington, Roger Papermouth, and Joe.
Hey, Danielle, Stephanie.
Yo, mama.
That's it.
Play
Yeah.
Danielle, Stephanie, you said? Fair.
Got the pride meeting in there. This got the GSA.
Yeah. Moralton GSA. Lauren says Clay
There's
Shapey
no
Stephanie.
straight member.
Lauren says Clay
Say it again.
Shapey Stephanie.
Aw.
And honorable mention to Nurse Bendy.
Oh, yes. Benny's great.
My top 3 are Florence. Forgot. Oh my god! Regardless, Florence Papermouth, Dr. Chosenberg, and Dr. Potter's Evil.
You know, Sena, you don't have the most obscure favorite character.
Okay.
Like, a lot of people can't even sit through the one episode my favorite character was in.
Ew, my tummy. My tummy hurts from watching it.
Like, okay, you guys can't handle seeing a Jewish man.
Oh my
I see how it is.
Hey, don't twist it.
Okay, next
Anyway.
question.
All right, you want to read this one, Glam?
What's your favorite Moral Oral original song? That is one of those that, to my knowledge, was composed solely for the show, like Close Face, Go God Go, etc. I hate you, Jesus. I know it seems like a basic bitch answer, but it makes me think of Jesus Christ Superstar.
Lauren says homosexual hop, and it's my favorite too, and I have like a really good reason for that, because it's a parody of the Monster Mash, and you know, B-movie monster culture is like heavily conflated with queer culture. And you can look into this. You can look into the research. Like, there's so much queer coding in monster movies. Dracula is fucking gay. This is not a conspiracy theory. It's real. Look it up.
So true.
Lauren says,
My favorite
amen.
is Go God Go because the lyrics make me fucking die.
Okay, what were you
I don't remember that one.
But my favorite is Go God Go because the lyrics make me fucking die. If you haven't heard the one that's on the soundtrack, not the one they use in the show, but that one's great as well. But there's a separate alternate version on the Moral Oral soundtrack that says he's parting the traffic like he's parting the seas, and it fucking kills me every time.
Also, I did want to say I really like that, Wes, that your favorite song has like a more of like an intellectual reason to it. I never made that connection. Like, I was aware of the connection between, you know, traditionally outcasted characters and gay people. Obviously, I just for some reason I didn't make the connection with the song.
It goes so deep you would not even believe. I think it's intentional because Dino also was the creator of Frankenhole, and that's also a very monster heavy series.
What's interesting is that the Monster Mash is like, it's a very happy song. Like, the monsters are just vibing in their own community. So like, I really wish we got to hear the
there's
rest
a
of the
full
song.
version of the homosexual hop.
There's an alt
and it's
version.
written by
Yeah,
it's written by a
there
singer
is?
called the Virgin
Yes.
Harry, which implies that he's like a closeted gay man. So I love that. Lauren says also, I Hate You Jesus and Pizza Joe's song. Isn't Scott's character in
Yes.
Frankenhole also gay? Yes, he is, as a matter of fact. Dr. Polidori is gay in Frankenhole, and he's gay in like the original. He's queer coded in the original Frankenstein movie. Like he straight up goes to Victor
I still
Frankenstein
watch
and is
that.
like, "Hey, don't marry this chick. Come with me and let's make a baby together."
So if I may bring up something completely irrelevant that only Sena's gonna understand, there's this show that Sena and I watched together about. It's like this. There's a lot of Dracula references, of course, because it's a show about like vampires. And there's a Polidori standing in that show, and he's like he it's just him, and he's raising his granddaughter on his own, and there's like no mention of a grandmother or anything, or even her parents. Gay
Lauren
grandpa.
says typecast as gay by Dino Stamatopoulos. There was like one other stop motion show that Scott was one of the main characters in, and he was very heterosexual in that one. It was like not a great pilot, but I don't know. Maybe some people like it.
Is Baymax
Yes.
also gay?
Baymax is gay.
Oh my god.
Does Baymax is gay?
People agree that Tadashi's gay.
Every time I see the character Baymax, I have exclusively referred to him as the Clay Hole. I've never seen Big Hero 6. I've read a little bit of the comic, which is completely different than the Disney movie, but that is literally the only thing I call that character. I chanted Clay Hole at my screen when pulling the gacha in some stupid Disney game, and I pulled him. So it's true. I have a psychic link to Baymax.
I can't believe our stupid joke from the Discord chat has become Baymax's name now. Really liked your Freudian analysis video, so would you guys be up to doing that with other schools of thought maybe? The Freudian analysis, it really kind of emerged from us making observations from the episodes themselves.
Yeah.
And if like we can find other ways of looking at the show that line up with other schools of thought, that could be that we'd love to explore that further. If
thought about talking about
Go on.
Go ahead. I was gonna say I think I brought it up in passing at one point. I'm not an expert on these things, but I did think about like talking about like other aspects of. Well, I don't know if I should say this in the room with Wes because I don't know if Wes hates Young.
I mean, okay, look, well, Freud hated Young for complicated reasons.
Well, I'm not trying to have an old man.
It's so funny because like Freud and Young were besties, and then Young stole all of Freud's ideas, and then he went to work for the Nazis.
I mean, that's not true, but
Not true.
I have friends who are into the Young
Oh, no,
show.
I mean,
That's what they've told me. I don't know.
Well, thing is, it is true. It's like, he did basically repackage a lot of Freud's ideas. He came up with the Electra complex, which was not one of Freud's ideas.
Yeah, but I don't. That's not the stuff I even look at with Jungian stuff. I look at more of like the shadow stuff, anime stuff.
Yeah,
like
I think that would be a cool way to analyze the characters. I feel like, if we want to look at nature or numb as like part of the shadow version of the characters, that could be an interesting analysis. What do you think?
I'd have to, yeah. I mean, I think that stuff is fascinating. I've always found collective unconscious stuff interesting. If y'all don't think that stuff is interesting, that's totally fine. I'm not trying to be combative. I don't know enough about the dynamic between the two
It's
of them.
okay. I mean, I'd actually love it if you wanted to do a Jungian reading of like, if you want to look more into Jungian theory and see how some of it kind of correlates with the show, because you can always find something with that.
I think it's fascinating. Yeah, and I've always, like I said, I know more people who are into that kind of stuff, so that's kind of the side of things that I ended up hearing a lot more about in terms of like people that I know that study that stuff. So that's kind of what I was exposed
I mean, at
to.
the end of the day, I feel that like it's whatever lenses we can look at the show through. I would love to watch the show again and see something new in it. That's the whole point of like giving it these
Yeah,
readings.
I think that's a great part about like what we're doing is that we look at things. We're just, you know, I don't want to say we're. I was gonna say we're milking it. We're not milking it. We're trying to view it through different lenses and see as much subtext and other symbolism and stuff in it as possible, and just read the characters in different ways. I personally like reading characters and their personalities. That's what's fascinating.
Yeah, I like that too.
I'm one of them that may start with a B and end with an A. Anyway, yeah, we're open to other kind of videos. We just have to hear the right kind of. We have to strike the right mood within the core group.
So, what do you think about Secondopinionson's daughter / Joey's half sister? Someone said she could be trans, but I don't know. Lauren says she is trans.
I understand why people feel that way. I guess just logistically, like, it is possible that maybe like Dr. Esso is one of those people who's like he would be against it. He's against it in general, but when it's his kid, he's willing to, like make an exception. Because I just think that like if she was like growing up in Moralton, like I feel like the town wouldn't like go along with it.
I mean, I do feel like whatever her story is, it's going to be an interesting story. However it played out for her. I do feel that like the fact that she masks her voice, that she has to hold her nose to cover up her actual voice, that I feel is indicative of it. Because if it were just that she had like if her voice was just naturally husky and she just grew up like that, like is that something that people would have just gotten used to? Like what would that be?
I don't know. It's hard to say that. It's hard to say because I mean they're so regressive. I feel like they would like give her a hard time for that. But I don't know. I have a hard time with this because I don't personally. I've basically just say like I have no problem with either of the headcanons that people have about it. I have personally viewed her as a trans woman just because of all of our discussions and everything about it. But I mean, I think if someone wants to imagine her as, I mean, we don't know, we know so little about her that I feel like if someone instead wants to read it as like a woman with like some sort of genetic thing, that's possible because there is room to tell stories about that as well. I don't have enough information to give a clear answer about what it is definitively. I
think that's something that a lot of people they get a little bit defensive and see that like us like saying, hey, it doesn't necessarily like make logistical sense for somebody to like for her situation to happen in Moralton, for that situation to happen in Moralton. That's different from us being like transphobic or against the headcanon. I love the idea. It's completely separate from like whether like how like likely I think it is, so to speak.
Lauren says also the fact of the matter is trans people exist even in highly conservative spaces, which it's true.
Yeah.
And if it's the case that they could have explored that further in the series, that would have been very interesting, I feel.
And perhaps all the people who were there when she was young and still presenting as male have just died.
Yeah.
So most of the people in town now know her for who she really is.
Personally, I do headcanon her as trans.
Yeah. Something another interesting. Sorry, go ahead. Another interesting thought I had is that besides her voice, like everything about her is very much, I guess, in line with what they would want a woman in Moralton to be. She does, have a job. She's not married or anything, so she's a spinster, unfortunately, in their eyes. But she's at home and she takes care of her elderly father. She works at the school. She's a secretary there. She's not very like she does well with her. Not necessarily parenting is the wrong word, but like taking care of Joe. I'd say she holds her own, but she's not very like, what's the word? I can't find the word I'm looking for.
Well,
because I don't want to call her submissive, but she's not rocking the boat super hard.
Lauren says it's an open secret that Danielle is gay. It's probably a similar case with Miss Esso being trans, just something no one talks about, but probably gets judged behind closed doors.
Yeah, exactly, and that going along with all the ways that she does fit in with their idea of woman, I think it would be worse for her if she was like, say, if she was trans and also was somebody who presented like Stephanie, like alternative and rebellious.
Yeah.
Where would Clay go if he and Bloberta divorced? We know the plan was her and Papermouth becoming a couple, so she moves on. If he's meant to have a happy-ish ending, I see a few possibilities. If he and Danielle reconcile, he might move to the Bachelor's Arms as his neighbor. If he kept the house and Bloberta took all of the kids, Danielle might move in with him. If he left Moralton altogether, he might be best off in some kind of assisted living facility with professional care and therapy 24/7 access. And for best case scenario, it would actually be a safe place to be, not a shady establishment that abuses its patients in any way. Finally, maybe he gets arrested and starts a cult in prison. I don't know.
like the cult in prison idea. I don't know about you guys. Okay, I'm joking. It's interesting that none of these ideas consider him inheriting the farm that he grew up in.
True.
Because that feels to me like the most natural progression of events.
Yeah, because like who else would Arthur leave it to?
Okay, so there's like there's been like this idea going around that it was supposed to be that Arthur was going to leave Orel the farm, and I cannot find any kind of substantiation for that anywhere. Like it was never written in any of the no Q&As. It basically is a rumor that ended up on the wiki that people believe.
And I feel like Arthur was already pretty decently old and before Orel. Yeah. Like, I think he probably didn't think he was going to be, like, that Orel was going to be a fully grown adult by the time that he passed. So, like, why would he, leave the farm to a child? Like, either way, if he leaves it to Orel or not, Clay is going to end up there in some capacity.
Yeah. Just as well, like, the only thing Dino ever said about the plot regarding Arthur's death was that he was not going to tell anyone about it because he might make a movie about it. And maybe, he kind of gave up on that or changed his mind. But the fact that people are going around and saying, oh, this is what would have happened, and Dino has never said that in any, like, public forum or, no one can find a source for where he said it. That I feel, why would he share a plot point that's important, that's that important if it wasn't like, if he didn't intend to, if he intended to keep it a secret. So for that reason, I feel that it definitely is just a rumor.
We're like the Moralton. They should call us Moralton Mythbusters because that's what we're out here. True.
But yeah, somebody needs to fucking take a fire hose to that wiki because it's full of garbage.
I mean, it's a literal
Seriously.
Wikipedia. Like, we could literally I'm cutting this, but like, we could literally edit it and nobody would be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's
man, I could go in there. Okay, you know what? I was looking at Angela Puppington's wiki today for reasons, and underneath relations, it had Danielle in there as ex-son-in-law.
What?
First of all, when did they get married? Because gay marriage isn't legal in Moralton. Second of all, she's never met this guy ever.
Why?
No, you don't get it. Children think that if you date someone that you're automatically like their parents' child.
It's like, why is that wiki so full of crap?
I want to know why the Moralton wiki is written in biblical prophetic perfect future tense. Like, what the fuck?
But also, like, somebody put down Bendy as Dr. Secondopinionson's ex-wife or something, or not. It was Miss Secondopinionson's ex stepmother. Like who's writing this? Who's filling this in? Because I'd like a word.
Time for me to change the Mrs. Simon tag page to say Roger Papermouth son-in-law. I mean, she's probably alive.
Roger Papermouth mother-in-law.
Oh. If you could remove one of the main cast, who would it be, and how do you think it would change the plot of the show? I think everybody serves a purpose in the main cast, and I don't think that any of them can just be removed without the entirety of the show just kind of being off kilter.
Yeah, I do feel like it's really important that everyone is in there.
I've noticed in a lot in like some modern like fandom interactions, not just in Orel, but like with other other shows where not necessarily like the whole cast is like messed up like in Moral Oral, but there would be like a specific like a morally gray member of the cast, and people like don't know how to engage with that character whatsoever. So not only do they like they never do anything with the character, but other people doing things with the character is seen as like a moral failing, even if it's not like romanticizing or glamorizing their actions in any way. I just thought it's what it made me think of.
Yeah, the question does kind of read like, I don't like certain people, and I want you guys to say that I don't want this certain person to be in the show because, oh, you like Clay, so you must think Bloberta needs to be removed from the show, or you like Bloberta, so vice versa.
Thing is, like, you know,
it's just
even
like,
Creepler serves a purpose.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, the whole entire show has like, yeah, because even yeah, I'm not gonna get into the logistics of that pipeline, but yeah, no, like, everybody is important to the plot in some way or another, and the grand vision was for the town to be fully fleshed out. So
Next question. If you could go back and finish 100 episodes, which one would you do? Honestly, for if we're talking about the scripts that were released, I'd let those ones go and just have them like do one of the ones that they didn't write, because I'm more interested in those.
Wait, what do you mean? Oh, you mean like my? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. This question that's in front of me right now. If I could go back and finish one of the unaired episodes, which one would I do? I think it would probably be like an episode about Doughy. No, it would be the Blobbermouth episode, because I needed to know what the fuck was going to happen.
Lauren says, "Wait, guys, wait."
Yeah. Oh, Clay doesn't have the riz to start a cult. No, well, yeah, he doesn't.
Yeah. I thought she dipped.
Oh, there she is.
But yeah, for me, I would want to go back and finish Narcissism because, you know, I mean, I'm gonna get a little bit more into this with a question that's coming up, but I feel like either there's a fat woman in Dino's life that he loves or like he's very close with, because the way he writes the experience is just like so respectful and realistic, and the idea of when I first saw the like on YouTube, there's an animatic of Narcissism that one of those like more oral analysis people did. I didn't fully get through it because I was younger and all I saw was a fat character getting skinny and her romance develops because of that. I don't want to see this anymore. And then obviously as I matured and I gave it a second chance, I'm like, wait, no, the whole idea of like, you know, a fat character becoming skinny because they're depressed, but the fact that they're skinny is all people see is not acknowledged like ever, and it's really incredibly important to me.
Yeah. I do also feel that like it would lend more nuance to Florence's character because I feel she gets written off a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
And I mean, there's a lot in that episode, and a lot of people, I'm sorry, they don't want to accept what they're reading in that episode, or they don't understand what they're reading in that episode. And it tells a lot about, I might cut this, but it tells a lot about certain spaces in the fandom, the way people talk about some of these characters. It's like weird.
I don't think you should cut it. I think it's important for people to acknowledge that a lot of people don't like Narcissism because it goes against their preconceived notions of what happened in some days.
It does seem that people don't believe that Putty can be attracted to an overweight woman. Like,
yeah. And I guess they also don't think that Dottie could be a, you know, sexual assaulter.
Yeah.
Because she's pretty and people want her.
No, I mean, I felt like the episode was very consistent with what was presented in Sundays.
Yeah, no,
I agree.
Because Dottie does overstep boundaries in she's a pest.
Yeah.
And I think there's meant to be a purposeful contrast there, because at first, like, Dottie is throwing herself at him, and the way, you know, Roger makes eyes at her, he's excited by her presence. And then there's Florence, who he's kind of treating like not a person at all, and the outcomes are different. He wanted Dottie at first, but that's what ends up being traumatized for him because he has no choice in the matter.
Yeah, no, I agree. Did you have an answer to this one, Wes?
Well, I would have loved to see Honestly, I would have loved to see the episode of Bloberta and Papermouth having an affair.
Oh,
Me
Yeah.
too.
oh,
Because
okay.
I want to know what that was about. Like, it's kind of really
I just want to know what their
Yeah.
dynamic. Like, I've had to make so many assumptions, and like, I like to think I make educated guesses about it, but like, I would have liked to see what the actual dynamic was, because it did take me a while to really like sit on it and think about it and figure out what I thought that they would be like.
I mean,
together.
I feel like he would brighten her life a bit because he's the opposite of Clay, where Clay is like really complicated and brooding all the time, and he's just like a really
Yeah.
simple guy. He's not very complicated at all, and I think Bloberta needs that in her life.
Exactly.
And the context of how the affair starts, where a lot of affairs start from like a moment of shame and spite and things like that. They bond over an act of love for their children, like the seeking out, grabbing the bear, which I think is really beautiful.
I think there would be a lot of good, forward movement and positive development in Bloberta's character throughout that, but I think she has to earn her way to it, and that's what's interesting about it to me. Anyway, next question, from Oreo, my little baby biscuit.
Love that name.
Who's the best written in your opinion?
I think all the characters are well written.
I think the show in general is just very well written.
Absolutely.
I don't think there are bad characters in Moral Orel. I think there are writers that are better than others at writing those characters.
I mean, I feel like there are writers who have a bit more experience or are just more in tune with the show and its characters, and like some of those episodes you can kind of see who's not one of them.
Yeah. No, I think really everybody is, for the most part, created equal in the show. I just think that some characters obviously didn't get as much time to develop as other characters.
True.
And yeah, the show really just kind of ended unceremoniously, like at this huge tumultuous moment that was going to change a lot of things. So it's hard to say really, but I think all of the characters are written very well. But my favorite's Bloberta. Okay, bye.
Favorite,
but I can't say she's the best written because she didn't have enough screen time.
That's true.
Okay.
What's your guys' favorite moments in the show? My favorite moment in the show of all time is Orel beating up his parents.
Yeah, it's too fucking good.
It's so good. The way that is animated is just like, it's so freaking
If there was ever a perfect moment in television, that was it.
Absolutely.
Cathartic, beautifully animated.
Cathartic as fuck.
Everything is great about it. I love the way that that when he's like slapping Bloberta and then Clay walks in the door,
the look on his face,
the look on his face, and then he has to like snap himself into like reprimanding Orel for a second. And
he's like, "Wait a minute, this is supposed to be a bad thing."
Yeah. No, that scene is great. I love that whole episode. It's goofy. It's really hard for me to pinpoint a favorite moment. Guys, my favorite moment is every time that my beautiful 3-dimensional wife, Bloberta Puppington, is on screen. I have no character traits besides liking Bloberta, guys. Can you tell? Okay, next. What about you, Glam?
This is a little embarrassing because I guess my moment can be kind of construed like that, but I do genuinely enjoy the scene in Sacrifice where Clay's at the bar with the rest of the guys because of it's interesting to me to obviously first off learn more about these characters' backstories and just like the way that Clay perceives the other people that he knows.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so true.
Honestly, Sacrifice is one of my top episodes, so I'm gonna second you on that. I'll put that.
But I'm just like, I'm not just saying it because we learn more about Dr. Potter's Wheel.
Okay, girl. Well, we learn about Roger too, so I'll get on the boat as well.
Exactly. There's something in it for all of us.
The girls are fighting. One of my favorite parts of one of my favorite lines that Clay has in that, like the more lighthearted lines, is when he's like, "Oh, you better go 2 revs. Let the man handle this." I thought that was that shit is like.
How about a 5-finger discount on a knuckle sandwich, Puppington?
Hey, he only has 4 fingers. Liar.
Day late, but do you guys, don't know if you've answered this question before, believe Clay and Bloberta love their children?
I do.
Absolutely, I do.
I believe that they love them in the way that they know how to love their children, which is mostly through acts of service and presence and like. Honestly, people don't give them enough credit for what they try to do for their kids. Like
I
How
mean, yeah,
can we
it's just
ask how can we expect them to emulate a love that was never modeled for them?
yeah, like these two people don't have like loving like they grew up with a lot of like neglect in their lives, so of course the only way they know how to treat their children is through
but
neglect. Not
well,
everyone can break the cycle
it's
and
not just that, but they do try. Like Clay's
yeah, they do.
Clay had a line in it was it Pleasure? I think it was Pleasure, where he's kind of in his own head for a second, and then he turns to him and he's like, "Here for you." He's so ready to just kind of flip and be the dad character whenever Orel needs him, and I think that's his way of showing his love. And
Yeah, and
yeah,
I think both of them and I mean we see that like as I hate like covering this sometimes because I feel like sometimes things I say are going to be taken the wrong way, but like I feel like I mean people like yes like Shapey is extremely neglected, but like Orel is provided for. Like Orel is okay they're I literally gonna be like, well, they're feeding their kids, like that's
no,
making me
I
sound
mean,
like an
look, I mean,
idiot, but like
Shapey's a sore point between both of them. He's a complicated
that's true.
thing in their
Yeah,
lives.
it's hard for both of them to give any kind of attention to him. But like Orel, I mean, like Bloberta is very like cordial and kind with him most of the time. Like she acts pretty normal. They both act pretty normal around Orel for the most part. It's just that as things progress, obviously we're seeing more of the negative, but the mask is always up when they're with their kids, for the most part, and especially when they're in public. And I swear to God, like it brings me out of fanfic so badly to like read them like being actively vindictive towards their children, like
That's
they're like little like
they're
evil
passive aggressive. They're
evil
not
demons.
actively bullies.
Yeah.
I mean, one thing I feel, the scene that had been cut from Honor where, Bloberta does show her dismay at Orel being in Danielle's house alone with Danielle, and I feel like if they had left that in, it wouldn't be so hard for the fandom to imagine that Clay and Bloberta do love him. They do love their kids
I
in their own
agree.
way.
Yeah.
Um,
On one hand, it's not like that they really ever make an effort to stop Shapey from doing the things that he does, but part of me can't help but like look at Shapey's like constant like verbal outbursts and screaming, and the fact that Bloberta doesn't really like react to them as I mean, obviously it is neglect, but there's a part of her that was always silenced. So I wonder if she would feel kind of like guilty ever stopping him from like
he's,
verbalizing.
in her words, he's only 8. Let him do what he wants, or he's only 7.
Yep.
I mean, in her head, it's like let him do whatever he wants, like, which was kind
Yeah,
of
what was
how
that one thing
Orel
she
was
said? She's like,
raised.
yeah, that's true as well. Yeah, there's like one quote where they're in the car and she's like, get for like I think she says for like goodness sake, give him whatever he wants so he'll stop
Yeah.
screaming. And it's like I don't know. Look, I think it's a complicated situation, and I think that they do care about their children. They just don't know how to properly express a lot of things in their lives, and they're very clearly not
Yeah.
happy. It's like misery. It's not even just, oh, my day sucks, like blah blah blah. Like they're
Yeah.
miserable with one another. So of course it's difficult for them too. And I'm not fucking shut up, people who are gonna clip this. I do not condone what they're doing, but it's a natural progression of things given their circumstances. It's sad, but it's true.
Yeah. Which is why we think they should have gotten the divorce. We're
Yep.
never shutting up about that.
Ooh, Glam, we need you here for this one. I know people are trying to leave.
Okay, final question. Okay. Opinions on Putty being paired with Florence in non-aired episodes.
So I think before anything else, because we're going to expand on this because there's eventually going to be a video about Rod himself, and we're going to elaborate on that. But I think I can speak for everyone here. Maybe cut this if I'm not wording myself right, but we don't see what took place between Florence and Putty as assault. Let's just get that out there first, because I don't think any of us here would speak favorably of a ship that was taking place between an assaulter and an assault victim.
Yeah.
I think that there is, and I'm not just pulling this out of my ass. There's this creator I like who talks about fat tropes in media a lot. She's a fat performer herself, more than Tracy Turnblad, and she's not the only one who talks about it. But there's a very pervasive trope in media of, and even fat women in real life, if you talk to any one of us, will tell you about it, where a fat woman portraying any sort of, like, making moves in any way romantic, sexual, is seen as predatory, because it's like, how can you... Sorry, I'm struggling to word myself here because I'm, like, so emotional and passionate about this.
Okay.
It's seen as predatory because it's like, in what world could you ever think that somebody would be consensually attracted to you? And there's also the fact that Rod mistreated her at first, so it seems like people just automatically think, oh, he's disgusted by her, why would he ever want to have sex with her? Obviously it was non-consensual, except for the fact that it's... Fat women speak about this all the time, where guys will want to date us in private and want to be with us in private, but in person they treat us like they would treat any fat person on the street. There's, like, a very, like, intimate sense of disgust, which obviously we see in narcissism is something that Rod very quickly gets the fuck over. And I obviously would have liked to see, if the episode aired and the show went on, him, like, Florence going back to her original weight and him being proud to have her by his side. But we saw him take the first steps towards realizing that the Florence that was happy is who he wanted and who he loves, not the Florence that's sad and skinny.
I think
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I feel like I didn't make a lot of sense.
No, I feel like that made sense. Like, I always see Florence as a sort of inverse manic pixie dream girl, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. She grounds Rod in a very firm reality.
Also, she's really quirky and has pink hair. Just, the only thing that separates her from friggin' Clementine from Spotless Mind is that she's, like, she's impulsive even. But she's just fat.
Exactly.
Like, that's the only difference, is that she's fat.
She dresses in a way that draws attention to herself. A lot of times, I forget if it's like that they shouldn't have short hair, that they shouldn't have long hair. I forget. But some fat women are told, like, oh, you shouldn't get, like, a short haircut. It's just going to make it obvious how big your face is. But she has a bright short hair. I guess there's the fact that her dress is kind of loose, but it doesn't cover her body type at all. Like, you can tell that she's a big lady.
But I think it's... I've always found
yeah, exactly.
she's like, I just find her, like, so, like,
she
like,
loves her
cute.
zebras. She loves
I don't
her
know.
zebra
Like,
sheets.
I just... And even, like, the people working on the show, like, clearly, like, they showed a lot of love to her in terms of, like, how many, like, outfits that she had and all that, and she appeared quite a lot in the background. But I've always thought it was interesting, like, because one of the main, like, big things that really stood out to me about the narcissism script is that, like, okay, blah blah blah, people want to say Putty didn't want Florence, but I mean, he doesn't picture a Florence with a skinny girl's body. He wants Florence as she was, and I think that's I think it's sweet and it's important. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Exactly. And because, people are gonna, I guess, like, get on us for this aspect. Hesitating for a second is perfectly normal. Like, I feel like a heat of the moment passion is one of the most common tropes
I think
in, like, romance fiction.
Also, just, like, those of you who
Have you
make
seen that
memes
before? I
about
don't
Florence's
feel like I've seen
body,
those.
that is a dick
That's
move.
horrible.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get
I
the
mean,
hate. I mean,
people are just very cruel to
like
Florence in general.
Like, let her be in love with someone and be... Yeah, let her be in love with
let her
someone
be
and be a little
weird. Let her
awkward. Like,
fantasize about the preacher in the middle of
that's not a
church.
rare thing. That's not a rare thing in the slightest. But yeah, I don't have any problems with the ship.
Exactly.
I think the progression, the way things were going, it was a well thought out storyline, and I I'm totally down for it. And you know what?
I think that
they'll
Florence
have
and
a
Stephanie could have
connection
been
in the future.
friends.
So
I love that.
Yeah.
Oh my god, so there's this clip, I don't know if this, like, I didn't see the clip myself, so I don't know if this actually happened, but, you know, Sabrina Carpenter and Dolly Parton did a song together recently, and I guess they did, like, an interview or a video together where they were playing around, and Dolly looks at Sabrina and goes, like, "Oh, you know, you're gonna be as old as me one day," and Sabrina turns to her and goes, "I hope so, you're beautiful," and I think that, oh my god, I'm gonna make myself cry. The idea of Florence and Stephanie being friends is so special to me because they're both women who, and Stephanie herself is also a little bit, like, I guess wide, you could say. She's not like
I mean, I read
real
her that
thin.
way. I kind of side-eye seeing interpretations where she's really skinny.
Yeah, exactly. They're both women. They're I'll say, like, maybe say for like mid-size, but they're both plus size women who dress in a way that makes themselves stand out. They know who they are and what they enjoy, and I love that so much. Stephanie can give her a zebra tattoo.
it
Yes.
is.
A zebra tramp stamp.
And that's going to be it for today, everyone. Hopefully you found our answers entertaining. If you did or you didn't, let us know what you thought in the comments. We're still working hard on that last video on the Picking Apart the Puppington series, so stay tuned. In the meantime, you can check out our playlist to catch up on the series or to check out some of our extracurriculars. We also want to give a special thank you to our YouTube members: Made with Cat Ears, Nobody, Hani Jibril, Yari, Julia S., Ashley Smashley, Theo Garcia, Shaw.Dizzle, and Western Monk. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, you can join through the button below and gain access to a few perks, including early access to all of our new videos, as well as a few extra bonuses. And if you want to submit any other questions you may have for our professors at Moralton University, you could do so in our Neospring, and we'll answer them in a future video. That's going to be it for today, guys. We'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching.
My Christian jaw did drop.
It was a hop.
A homosexual hop.
It was a hop.
Somebody call a cop.
It was a hop.